Welcome. You're listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. One of CMA's goals is to keep our members informed. Hi, I'm Gayla Scrivener, and I've been working with the Cookware Manufacturers Association as a virtual administrative assistant since 2018. I met Managing Director Penny Rosema at a user conference for a piece of software that we both use. Penny asked me to host today's show and share some work-from-home tips. Right now, you may be faced with working from home and you're not used to it. And it really can be disorienting. Leading virtual teams and being a member of a virtual team has its challenges. And just like leading a team face-to-face or being a member of a face-to-face team, communication is key. Communication in moving a project along, staying unified, in reaching a common goal, being available to answer questions, to problem solve, just to plain feel connected. Communication is the center of it all. And when you go to the office, you're able to, gather people around for a quick stand-up meeting or go to your coworker's office or just maybe talk over the cubicle for a quick conversation. Leading a team virtually really is no different. Communication is still key. We just go about it a little bit differently. My background is that for about 20 years, I was in the medical field, and my role was in medical billing and operations of different kinds of healthcare facilities like physician offices and imaging centers. I've managed different offices throughout my medical field career of various sizes. My goodness, I led many offices through many software conversions through the years. But then, in 2012, I made a drastic career change and decided to leave the medical industry and start my very own business. And it wasn't just any business. It turned out I was starting a virtual assistant business. Scrivener Solutions was created to help small businesses outsource tasks. And my Scrivener Solutions team primarily focuses on marketing tasks for small businesses. But when you get to the root of it all, what my team does is to help our clients communicate with their customers and their prospects. Soon after I created my business, I knew I needed a team, and I started hiring my first employee. And as I brought on more clients, I found myself teaching my clients how to work with a virtual team. They're used to the idea that you must work with somebody side by side to be productive. And that's not it at all. They're lost and unsure of how to even work with my company at first. So there is a learning curve, and I have evolved in just trying things out on, I have two perspectives. I have the perspective of leading my virtual team so that we stay connected and productive and we reach our common goal. And I also have the perspective as a consultant teaching my clients how to build virtual teams. When you're used to just popping into your coworker's office or talking over the cubicle wall, it can be very weird to now be at home and feel isolated. And so the biggest thing to overcome is not becoming isolated. I wanted to speak to you about my top tools that I use to stay connected and to enhance communication. So here we go. The first tool is Zoom. Now, I'm sure by now you've heard of Zoom. I've been using it for years, but I heard on the news just the other day that within the last couple of weeks, the number of new users signed up for their services surpassed all the new users who signed up last year. So, the numbers are staggering. More and more people are using Zoom and seeing the benefit of it. We use Zoom all the time on the Scrivener Solutions team. And one of the main things that we do is we use Zoom for our staff meetings. I insist on having our team members get on video during our staff meetings. I'm a stickler for it because since my team lives in different parts of the country, and even though we're just a small team, many of the team members haven't met each other in person yet. And I find that if we're seeing each other eyeball to eyeball, even if it's on a video screen, we get more out of the meeting. We interact, we get to know each other, and video is how we do it. Zoom also has great screen sharing features. Now, Penny and I have a weekly Zoom call to discuss our projects for the CMA. And we often find ourselves sharing our screens. Penny will bring up her screen and we go down our project list. Because we're both very visual people, it just streamlines the communication because, the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, video is worth 10,000 words, I have to say. So screen sharing is super, super beneficial. Just the other day, my team member, Megan, was doing something new. I gave her a new project, and she was having difficulty just logging into that particular system for our client. And it's frustrating. She's like, it should be simple, but I'm getting this error, and I've got the right credentials. What's going on? We talked on the phone just briefly, and it's like, she immediately said, hey, can we just hop on Zoom and I just share my screen? And that's what we did. I grabbed my Chromebook real quick so I could have a bigger screen. I sent her the link. We got on there. She shared her screen, and I was immediately able to identify what the issue was, which was different on her computer than what was shown on my computer. And within a snap, we were able to resolve the issue, and what could have been a prolonged conversation and trying to resolve, she was able to get back on the job and be productive for our client within the matter of just a few minutes versus anguishing over the issue. I love that we hop on Zoom just whether it doesn't even have to be a formal call. We like to hop on Zoom real quick just to overcome any communication obstacles. And I've already told you that Penny and I hop on for CMA business to stay on target for projects. We have check-in calls, and that is very, very handy. Also, within CMA, our engineering standards committee, we meet. The committee members meet using a Zoom call, and that is very handy. We all get together, however many members show up, and Penny will share her screen so that we are all on the same page reviewing the same document, and it helps with production. Every time we have a meeting, we are looking at different ways on how we can streamline the process and make it easier for our members. Zoom has some really cool features. I told you about the screen sharing, but you can also record meetings. Now, I don't record many meetings because I don't find the need for it, but having that recording feature is a good thing, because if you're having a staff meeting where not everybody can show up and you have as a team leader, you have some important announcements that all staff members need to know about, if you record that staff meeting, then you are able to have your other team members to watch the replay. Zoom also has a webinar feature. I don't use that very much, not with team communication, because webinars is more of a one-to-many conversation. It's for presentations, and the interaction is more through chat instead of talking in a round table type situation. I use the meeting feature much more. That seems to fit better with leading a virtual team because it's more two-way or group conversation. With the webinar feature, the video focus is on the presenter, and there's not video options for all the team members or all the participants. But you and your organization may have more of a broadcast type message, so you may find that feature helpful. Now, as a team leader, you do need to have a Zoom account. But here's the cool thing. The free version is very robust with unlimited one-on-one calling. So if you're just speaking to one person, you can talk for hours if you want to. I just had a client that's not usually on she usually does face-to-face consulting. Well, she, for the first time, did a Zoom consulting call, and it was for a big project, and she was on that Zoom call for like 3 hours, and it was with her free account. If you have 3 or more on the call, up to 100 people, I believe, the free version will limit you with a 40-minute phone call or video call. And 40 minutes is not too bad. And if you might want to limit your time for staff meetings instead of having, very long meetings. But your organization may want to use a paid version of Zoom to open up additional features and have more time to have group calls. But you don't have to have a user account to join a Zoom meeting. There's not any cumbersome software to install, so it's super easy to use. And whatever type of meetings you normally have in your office, my suggestion is to try to keep that sense of normalcy and continue to have those types of meetings, but just move them out of the conference room onto Zoom. Whether it's a quick Monday morning stand-up meeting, go ahead and have that. Have it at the same time, but instead of doing it face-to-face, you're going to have it on Zoom. Maybe you have your formal staff meetings in the conference room. Well, video calls are the way to bring your team together virtually. Another way that I keep my team connected is using Slack. Slack is instant messaging, but it is more than that. Slack is by far my favorite communication tool, and it streamlines and it compartmentalizes your communication. Now, you can email your team members, you can text your team members, but I think that using Slack is a way to bring your team together in a more uniform manner. First of all, as a team leader, I find it quite cumbersome and irritating, actually, to have a string of emails, a ton of emails that have quick questions in them. And then we're emailing back and forth of our conversation. And that is so cumbersome, and it clutters up my inbox, when I would rather have my inbox with other information, things from clients and other information. For my team communication, when that conversation moves from email to Slack, it streamlines and it doesn't clutter up email. And you can see the history a lot easier. And in Slack, you are able, like texting, and it's very similar to texting, but I like to reserve texting for more personal conversations with friends and family. But with my team, knowing that it's on Slack, I know that I can put my work hat on, and that's the conversation I have. I compartmentalize my communication. So on Slack, you have the capability of having direct messages with anybody who is on the Slack workspace. And that's handy. But you also can create channels. And for our team, well, every team, Slack creates a generic general channel. And that's where you could send a group message to everyone on the team. That's very handy. I use that when I want to broadcast a message for everyone. Like, for example, if I wanted to record my staff meeting or an announcement to all the staff, I may put that recording link right there in the general channel. Then I create, well, we're a very small team, but different organizations have different channels that they have so that they can have group meetings. Maybe your organization, you need everybody on your team. Maybe you are head of the marketing team or head of the engineering team or whatever team that may be. Then you would make a channel for, let's say, marketing. And everybody on the marketing team would be on that group message. They would be a part of that team. And so if you wanted to speak to everybody on the marketing team, all you have to do is go into that channel and enter that conversation right there. So everybody can hear the conversation and see the conversation thread. But you're not bothering like the engineering team, for example. You can create these group channels for particular projects if you want to. So anybody that's working on that particular project. Now you may, in your organization, have team leaders and you want to just speak to those leaders. Then you'd create a channel for that. And those channels are limited to only the members that are invited to that channel. And there are many integrations that Slack works with. And one of those is Zoom, which is very handy. When you integrate Zoom and Slack, it makes it very easy to click on a button to generate a team meeting. So those applications work very well together. Now, my suggestion is, or my advice is, don't complicate it. If you decide to use it, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple and don't create a whole bunch of group channels if you don't have to. Instead, just do what's natural. If you are needing to speak to one specific person, think of you being placed in your office. How would you communicate to them if you're in your office? Would you just, poke your head around the corner and say, "Hey, John, I had this real quick question or need clarification in this"? Well, then do a direct message. But if you're needing to speak to the whole team, then it may make more sense to have a group channel. But I like Slack a lot because even though there's other tools out there that you could use, I have found that since implementing Slack years ago, that my email traffic went drastically down. And so when I was able to focus on email, I was focusing on clients work and other communication that was outside of my organization. All my organization conversations happened right there in Slack, and I was able to prioritize a lot better. Now, the third tool, I had contemplated on sharing what project management tool that we use, but chances are you're in an organization where you already have these processes in place. You already are using project management tools to organize your projects. You have goals on when things should be completed. You have that system probably in place. I'll mention just matter-of-factly that my team uses Asana, and I'm experimenting with a tool called Airtable that has some great features. But right now, I'm in the air on how I'm going to use that tool long term. Instead of sharing that, because chances are, like I said, you have project management systems because you're always working on projects. You're in an organization where you do that. My third favorite tool working with a virtual team has to be Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic is different than Zoom. What Screencast-O-Matic does is that I'm able to quickly make videos that share my screen, and I'm by myself. I'm not interacting with anybody else, but I am creating quick videos telling my team members either I'm doing a how-to or I am illustrating on what expectations I have or what outcomes I'd like to see. And since most of the things that we do in our organization has to do with a piece of software of some sort, and I need to show them the screens or show them illustrations, it's so much easier for me to just talk it out, even though they're not right in front of me, because I may be having my message on the top of my mind at 6 a.m. because that's when I'm fresh. But they may be working on that project 4 or 5 hours later. Well, I've got the instructions or I've got the information for them on this video that they can watch before they get started on their project. And I don't worry about editing. It's just raw conversation and I just record that. And like I said, I use Screencast-O-Matic, but recently I have been introduced to another tool that's very similar, and it's called Loom, Loom. And I started using that, and it's very, very similar, but a little different. With Loom, I like some of their features, the way that the online links work or the how to access the videos works a little differently than Screencast-O-Matic. I see a great benefit in that. So it doesn't really matter which tool, but if you are one that you need to show somebody how to do something, Screencast-O-Matic or Loom is super nice. And you are able to just video yourself or your screen, or you can have picture-in-picture. So you can have your screen and showing folks what buttons you're pushing, and then you can have a little circle showing your face kind of in the corner, which is very beneficial. That keeps the connection. Remember, when you're moving off-site and working with virtual teams, that communication, it's still so important to see eye to eye. Now, the main thing in all of this transition from working face-to-face in your office to be transported to your home and working remotely is that just keep things simple and just communicate. All of these tools have great free features. I mean, their free accounts are out of this world and is accessible to everyone. And it does take a bit getting used to. So just have a little bit of patience and a little bit of grace with both yourself and your team. As anything new, there is a learning curve. So just have patience and grace. And who knows, you may continue to use these tools and tactics when you're back in the office again, because you might find that you can streamline and be more productive if you hop on a video call versus getting everybody together and having all of that travel time. Now, face-to-face is by far the best type of communication, but having some virtual meetings sure does enhance productivity. I want to thank you for listening, and I'll have all the links to these virtual resources in the show notes. And it certainly has been a pleasure being guest host today. Now remember to go to cookware.org for additional resources in the cookware and bakeware industry. And if you're a member, be sure to use your membership fully and log into the membership area and explore. If you're not a member yet, well, I'm thinking you should be. If you want more information on the Cookware Manufacturers Association, please visit cookware.org. The Cookware Association is a proven value to our members. We maintain and update the engineering standards for the production of cookware and bakeware. And by the way, we have the newest version available that has quite a few updates, and that is available on the website. Members can get immediate access simply by logging in to the members area. CMA also provides timely statistical reporting, and we are a resource for retailers, including cookware training guides. So when members are in meetings with their retailers, they can point them to cookware.org for additional support and materials. Again, thanks for listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast.